Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this new episode of CX Punk Chat. This is the first episode in cooperation with the European Customer Experience Organization, an European-based organization to promote inclusion and diversity in customer experience. So these two words are extremely important. The European Customer Experience Organization, like, this CX Punk Chat, is basically open to different opinions. We want inclusion and we promote diversity in customer experience. It's still good to remember to you guys the philosophy of this video. We are talking about pure punk nature, so we want to promote individual freedom and anti-establishment view in the customer experience world. So all opinions are welcome here. The format is one-to-one. It means one guest, two questions for one challenging customer management topic. And today we have with us Joanna Carr. Welcome, Joanna.
Thank you.
Joanna is a consultant at Allegro and is a founder member of the European Customer Experience Organization. I think one important topic that we were discussing before this recording, Joanna had an experience at Rituals. I personally have a big admiration for Rituals related to customer experience, to the experience they deliver with the products and basically with the in-shop experience. But let's not do a lot of advertising to Rituals. Let's go back to Joanna. Joanna, the first question, tell us how you became so passionate about customer experience.
Okay, so actually, it all started working for Rituals. And really, when you work for a brand such as Rituals and you experience from a employee point of view and a customer point of view how well they are creating experiences for customers, this really just drove my motivation to want to learn as much as possible about the subject customer experience. What is it? And it was actually during a project that I was part of regarding our sales ceremony, which is all about creating connections with customers, that I decided I started a journey to actually educate myself within the field of customer experience, and actually took some education both as a certification and a diploma with the CX Academy.
Yeah.
And you can say quickly, I sort of realized as well, I'm situated here in Norway, that there's such a huge potential out there for brands to really pull on this knowledge of things like that Rituals are really good at. And I just wanted to be able to go out and help other companies achieve some of these results that I could see that Rituals were achieving, not just financially, but also with regards to the employee experience and the whole experience. So that really led me on the journey to want to go more specifically into becoming a customer experience consultant.
Yeah.
And I can perhaps say at the time in Norway, when I did that a couple of years ago, nobody was talking about customer experience. We were talking about customer journey, and we were talking about customer centric activities, but nobody was really talking about customer experience. Now that has changed drastically within a couple of years. Now we can see that it's one of the probably newest roles that's being advertised, that companies want to invest in a customer experience manager. So thankfully.
Okay, excellent. Joanna, when we talked before, these episodes, and when you had interactions, with the people that organize, this program, you mentioned you want to talk about the attachment theory, and well, I have to admit, I was completely ignorant about the topic. So I had really, to read Wikipedia, to Google it, etc., etc. So I would suggest, as a first step, maybe if you can, talk about and explain people what exactly is the attachment theory.
Yeah, so attachment theory, it's actually John Bowlby, who is father of attachment. And attachment theory is based on, well, first of all, attachment is an emotional bond with another person. And attachment is starts really in the very first years of life, in the first few months of life. A child will form a type of attachment with their guardian. And there are different types of attachment. There are actually 4 different types of attachment, but we can really summarize and say that we have the secure attachment, and then we have a negative attachment. And attachment, it creates a really important, if we manage to achieve a secure attachment with another person, it allows us to become explorative. So, for example, with the little child, the aim is that they will form a secure attachment with a significant person, and that secure attachment will allow them to be explorative. They will know that they can go out, learn, develop themselves, explore their surroundings in the comfort and the knowledge, knowing that if something happens, if something disturbs my sense of security, then I will be able to quickly seek availability with a person that will switch off my attachment need, you can say.
Is it basically, sorry if I interrupt you. Basically,
yeah, that's fine.
Is let's say, a way where we can basically link 2 specific things. So on one side, we create, a strong relationship with an entity. I call entity because I already assume that you will use this not just to other human beings, but also to brands, etc. In the next question probably. And then this strong relation will allow you to be on a certain extent free to explore. So free to explore, for instance, other experiences or new experiences with a feeling of safetyness in you, because okay, anyway, if I do, let's say, something wrong, there is this big support related to the fact that I'm in a safe heaven, let's say. I mean, I will not have problem if I experience something I don't know, and I will do. So it's basically also a feeling that if something goes wrong, I'm 100% sure that there is someone that will help me. Correct, or I'm wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. You're correct. And unfortunately, the situation is when we look at like the early years, and I suspect this is very relevant as well, related to brands and businesses, that there's actually quite a high percentage that form like an insecure attachment or an insecure relationship with what they need to operate as a safe haven. So it was Mary Ainsworth, which also studied and formed the theory about a safe haven. And a safe haven needs to function that whenever something creates instability for me, I need to be able to go to that safe haven. But the thing is, the more often you do that, the less you will need that safe haven, because the big part of this is that really we want autonomy. We want to be able to solve it ourselves, because when we actually manage to solve issues ourselves, this is when we are absolutely, we have self-control, we have self-awareness. This is when we feel comfortable in our surroundings. And exactly as you say, Federico, we're able to take in our surroundings and be part of our surroundings and become what the ultimate goal is, as a loyal customer or a loyal, because we form that emotional bond. We know that we've learned in a process early on that if I need them, then they will be there. Or if I need the answer to something, then I will find it, because over time, I've had repeated experiences that have proven that they're there for me. They've got my back.
Yeah. No, but this is a very important point, I think, because discussing with you and going, let's say, to the second part of or the second question, because of course we need to link that to customer experience management, and I think listening to you and trying to be concrete, what we can do, how we can apply this theory, because you know better than me, when you have theory, everything works well, but then you have to bring theory to practice. And I was listening to you, and correct me if I'm wrong, or basically we can start a discussion here, but I think for a brand, for an organization to be successful and use this theory, first of all, as usual in customer experience, you have to set the expectation correctly. Yeah. Second, listening to you is really be able to have very precise processes and repeatable processes that the whole organization and the people in the organization can repeat these processes, and basically there is not deviation from the process, or minimum deviation on the process. In a way, there is a strong consistency in delivering the experience. I'm wrong, or it goes in that direction, going really to the practical way of applying the theory?
Absolutely. And so regards to like using attachment theory for brands, I know that there has been done some research, especially focused to the marketing aspects of actually segmenting customers, because they already know that customers who are coming to us, they have their working models there of how they want to interact with the brand, and some of them will have a working model that they're open for, they're secure, they're open. Some will be coming as insecure customers, and so there is some work around actually segmenting these. Now, my approach is slightly different, because I'm thinking that we should take a more holistical view and maybe try to use the understanding of, especially this around the safe haven. How can we make our brand a safe haven for customers? And of course, the ability to create a safe haven, it really is in the foundations, exactly as you commented. It's about having a really clear expectation, helping our employees to understand what it means to make our customers feel safe. And we have guides to do this. There are our values, there are customer promise, they're the way that we, for example, sell to a customer. So we was working actually with the way that we actually sell when I was working in my time with Rituals. And we realized that we need to work on a much deeper level of connecting with the human being, for working to form like a solid relationship. And where does a solid relationship start? It starts with having a conversation. It starts with listening, with asking questions that are relevant for the customer. We don't want to sell a product or show a product to a customer that is totally irrelevant. We don't want to create an atmosphere either. So that the very first thing you do, for example, I like to think of the scenario, if you was to walk into a shop, I'm sure you've done this, Federico, you've walked into a shop and without even realizing why, you've turned around and you've walked right out again.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, and as I said, it's not because I'm a Rituals customers, but as I told you before, near my home there is a Rituals shops, and I always go to see how they have created the in-shop experience. And while you were talking, I remember visiting the shops of Abercrombie and Fitch in United States, and had this, for instance, this fragrance that you smell in the shop, which create a kind of at least in me, a positive attitude towards the shop experience. So absolutely. One last question, Joanna, because first of all, it's extremely interesting what you are telling us. So, and I assume it's very, very complex. I assume it's extremely, interesting to put in place a framework also, because you mentioned, first of all, we need to understand what the customer wants. We want to ask the correct questions to the customer. So we'll be also in listening the voice of the customer in a certain way according to the methodology. But the question I wanted to ask you, when we talk about the attachment theory, I realized talking with you, there are two fundamental aspects. So one is the customer, but the other one is the employee that plays a big roles in this methodology. Because if probably, and I just assuming, if you don't create the same strong relationship with your employees, and if your employees are not believer of this theory and are not treated equally, by the employers as the employer treat or create an experience for the customers, I have my doubts that this this methodology could work. So there is really a very strong element in this theory that goes a little bit in a different direction that the Net Promoter System or other customer experience methodology, which is extremely important and creates also a very let's say big challenge for a company. And so at the end, I do some advertising for you. A company that wants to embrace this methodology needs probably to have someone that has a very good background and good experience, because the internal work is not to basically I mean, it's a big work. You have really not to underestimate what you have to do with the employee. Correct, Joanna?
Absolutely. And even though, like in my time, for example, working with Rituals, we weren't talking about the attachments there. At least I wasn't involved in that conversation. It could well be that it was a conversation. But one of the major aspects was understanding what is it that actually influences a person. And what influences a person is our senses. We are open to the world. Our senses are open to the world. And that is what creates the emotional experience in us. And this is something that Rituals really have done fantastically well. And they haven't created just a sensory experience for customers. It started, of course, with the employees. They have they've really thought out their entire employee journey about the the sensory feeling that you will be led through from stage to stage to stage, which is all about really building attachment. It's about building trust. It's about making the employee feel secure in every step of the way. And it starts really, well, of course, it starts earlier in their employee process. But, you know, every employee that starts with rituals, they're invited to what they call a root camp workshop. And the root camp is like a 2-day session where you will learn the values, the visions, and you don't, this is the key. You don't just get told it. You don't just get fed that this is what we're about. You're led through exercises that help you to really experience it and really make these experiences as part of your memories. And that's then in helping evolve a person to understand what it would mean to really be able to, for example, if you have a value that this is our working value, okay, I've now worked on an exercise that helps me really understand how I can work with that in my everyday interactions with customers. And this isn't just people who are working front line with customers. This is people who are working in IT department. This is people who are working in human resources. And they're already creating these emotional understanding because they've felt it through their whole sensory experience. They're understanding how we are going to deliver this experience along the line. How are we going to create safety? How are we going to create a safe haven? You know, it really is a truly well thought out process.
No, unbelievable. Very, very, very interesting. As I said, now I know that the attachment theory is not related to the emails, as I told you before. So it's unbelievable, and I think it's extremely, extremely interesting. I would stay here hours to discuss with you about the attachment theories because as I said, you know, CX Punk Chat is open, you know, to new opinions. We want really to promote the inclusion as the European Customer Experience Organization. So we are open to different point of view on customer experience. I think the one that you brought to us today is extremely interesting and basically, you know, is food for our brains to think in a different ways. Unfortunately, you know, the episode is around 15-20 minutes, so we cannot stay here hours. Joanna, thanks a lot for your time and for this interesting you know, methodology, and to help us a little bit to enter in your world, and of course you know, to basically the things you discuss, you present us about rituals was also extremely interesting. Thanks a lot, and you know, in future the idea is also to organize panel where we can discuss also with other people, and definitely one I can tell you one you know, of the topic we will bring in the discussion will be the attachment theory, because it's so interesting and so cool to apply this theory to the customer experience management.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, Joanna.
Thank you, Federico.
Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, we wait you for the new episode of the CX Punk Chat. I remember you that you know, this episode was brought by European Customer Experience Organization, and I basically push you to visit ecxo.org. You know, becoming a member is free of charge, and we want really to build a community that is open, and we want to discuss different point of view on customer experience. Thanks a lot, and see you at the next episode.